He traded a Volkswagen for a pizza empire intro and hook. It was one of the worst business deals in history. In 1961, two brothers stood at a crossroads. They were co-owners of a small, struggling pizza joint, and one of them had had enough. Tired of the long hours and convinced the business was just a money pit, he wanted out. So, he made a trade, his entire 50% stake in the company, for the beat-up 1959 Volkswagen Beetle they used for deliveries. That car was worth, what, a few $100? The pizza business he walked away from. It became Domino's Pizza. And that 50% stake would one day be worth over $500 million. This is the story of the other brother, the one who was left with a failing pizzeria, a mountain of debt, and just a bicycle for deliveries in the brutal Michigan winters. This is the story of how Tom Monaghan, a former orphan who'd been expelled from seminary school, turned that single pizza shop into a global empire. Tom Monaghan's life was full of hardship long before he ever tossed a pizza. Born in 1937, his father died when he was just 4. His mother, unable to support her 2 sons on her own, made the heart-wrenching decision to place them in a Catholic orphanage. For 6 years, the St. Joseph Home for Children was their entire world. It was there a nun named Sister Barada became a surrogate mother to Tom, instilling in him a deep faith that would guide him for the rest of his life. But he was also a rebel. He dreamed of becoming a priest, but got himself expelled from the seminary for a string of minor slip-ups, like pillow fights and talking in the chapel. He tried public high school and graduated dead last in his class. He then managed to enlist in the US Marine Corps completely by mistake, thinking he was joining the army. After his service, he enrolled at the University of Michigan to study architecture. But money was always a struggle, and it was that constant struggle that led him to the decision that would change his life forever. In 1960, his brother Jim, who worked full-time as a mail carrier, heard that a little pizzeria in Ypsilanti, Michigan called Dominos was up for sale. The brothers scraped together a $900 loan, put $500 down, and bought the place. The original owner, Dominic, gave them a whopping 15-minute lesson on how to make pizzas. And just like that, they were in business. That dream of being their own bosses, it quickly turned into a nightmare. The business was losing money, and Tom was pulling over 100-hour weeks just to keep the doors open. Jim, who was still juggling his mail route, was completely burning out. After only 8 months, he wanted to cut his losses. The negotiation was brutally simple. Jim would take the company's only real asset, that '59 VW Beetle, and Tom would take Jim's half of the business and all of its debt. Suddenly, Tom was all alone. He was so broke, the story goes, he was living off burnt pizza crusts and stale popcorn. The situation seemed hopeless, but instead of giving up, Tom made a pivotal decision. He dropped out of architecture school to go all in on pizza. He saw a huge problem. Their menu was way too complicated. They were selling submarine sandwiches and other things that just slowed down service. His solution? Ruthless simplification. He cut everything except pizza and Coke. He saw another problem. They were near Eastern Michigan University, and college students wanted food delivered. His answer was to focus almost exclusively on delivery. These 2 decisions became the foundation for the entire empire. But another hurdle popped up. When he wanted to expand, the original owner of Domino's wouldn't let him use the name for new locations. The problem needed a simple, memorable fix. One of his employees had an idea for a new name: Dominos. In 1965, the company officially became Domino's Pizza Inc. The iconic logo was born, with 3 dots representing the 3 pizzerias Tom owned. The original plan was to add a new dot for every new store they opened, a plan they'd soon have to ditch when the company's growth became absolutely explosive. Tom Monaghan was obsessed with 2 things: speed and efficiency. He knew the key to winning the delivery game wasn't just getting the pizza to your door, but getting it there hot. Back then, flimsy cardboard boxes would get soggy and collapse when you stacked them. So, he helped pioneer a sturdy, corrugated cardboard box that trapped heat and could be stacked high without crushing the precious cargo inside. It seems like a simple invention now, but it completely revolutionized the industry. With this new weapon in his arsenal, Tom was ready to make a promise that would make Domino's a household name. In 1979, facing fierce competition from rivals like Pizza Hut, who were only just starting to dabble in delivery, Domino's launched one of the most famous guarantees in business history: 30 minutes or it's free. This wasn't just a marketing slogan, it was a declaration of war. It put an insane amount of pressure on franchisees and drivers, but it worked. Customers loved it, and sales went through the roof. By the mid-1980s, Domino's was the fastest growing pizza company in America, opening nearly 3 new stores every single day. But the guarantee had a dark side. The constant pressure to beat the 30-minute clock led to a reputation for reckless driving. After a series of tragic accidents and multi-million-dollar lawsuits, the company had to act. In 1993, Tom Monaghan announced that Domino's was officially ending its iconic 30-minute guarantee in the US, citing public safety. The era that had defined their incredible rise was over. The story of Domino's is really a masterclass in how to adapt. From a delivery promise to a tech revolution, they have consistently found ways to change the game. If you're finding this story of innovation and resilience as fascinating as I do, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss how they pulled themselves back from the brink of total disaster. Now, back to the story. By the 2000s, Domino's had a massive problem. Their delivery system was world-class, but their pizza was not. The company built on innovation had totally lost sight of the product itself. The criticism was brutal and it was everywhere. Focus groups and online forums were filled with customers comparing the crust to cardboard and the sauce to ketchup. Then, in 2009, a PR nightmare. A disgusting viral video showed 2 employees in North Carolina defiling food before it was sent out for delivery, and the public was horrified. The company's reputation hit rock bottom. Sales were tanking, and a respected consumer research firm ranked their pizza quality in a tie for last place, with Chuck E. Cheese. Domino's had become a joke. This was their moment of truth. They could have ignored it all, or just made a few quiet changes. Instead, under the leadership of their CEO at the time, Patrick Doyle, they did something absolutely radical. They launched a marketing campaign called the Pizza Turnaround. They didn't just admit their pizza was bad, they broadcasted that fact to the entire world. Commercials featured Domino's own chefs reading scathing customer reviews. They showed footage of focus groups brutally tearing their product apart. And then, they showed themselves going back to the kitchen and completely redesigning the pizza from the crust up, with a new garlic herb crust, a bolder sauce, and better cheese. It was a shocking act of transparency, and it was brilliant. Customers appreciated the honesty, and sales soared. The 2009 recipe change saved the company, but it was their next move that truly secured their future. Domino's realized they weren't just in the pizza business, they were in the delivery technology business. As one executive famously put it, they became a technology company that happens to sell pizza. They had already pioneered innovations like the Heatwave hot bag back in 1998 to keep pizzas oven fresh. But in 2008, they launched the Domino's Tracker and Pizza Builder. For the first time ever, you could visually build your own pizza online and then track its progress from the second you ordered until it was on your doorstep. It was a massive hit that set the new standard for online ordering. And they didn't stop there. In 2015, they crowdsourced the design for the DXP, the Delivery Expert, a car built specifically for delivering pizza, complete with a warming oven that could hold 80 of them. They tested out delivery by drone in New Zealand. In 2023, they launched Pinpoint Delivery, which lets you get a pizza delivered to places without a real address, like a park bench or a specific spot on the beach. This relentless focus on tech and convenience completely transformed the company. By the end of 2025, its US sales had climbed for 9 straight quarters. Today, it operates over 22,000 stores worldwide and delivers more than 1 million pizzas every single day. In late 2025, the company launched its first major brand refresh in 13 years, complete with brighter colors and a new jingle, a move to reinforce its dominance not from a place of weakness, but of incredible strength. In 1998, Tom Monaghan sold his 93% stake in Domino's to Bain Capital for about $1 billion. He used his fortune to pursue his philanthropic and religious passions, founding Ave Maria University in Florida. He had finally completed his journey from orphan to billionaire. At its core, the Domino's story is all about resilience. It's the story of a man who took a failing business and, through relentless focus and a hunger to innovate, built an empire. But it's also the story of a brand that, when faced with what looked like certain failure, had the guts to admit its flaws and completely reinvent itself. And it all started with a simple trade. One brother drove off in a used Volkswagen, a practical choice at the time. The other was left with a tiny pizza parlor and a dream. It turns out that dream was worth more than anyone could have ever imagined.